You got to hit him where it hurts, guys. You got to knock him in the dirt.
Yeah, man. Don't play around, Dems. Take that tip from the curls.
Shout out to the curls, as always. How's it going, everybody? Before we get going, let's go to the live stream chat. Well, we got Pat, Rod, and Brianna weighing in. Brianna says, R.I.P. John Prine, R.I.P. Bernie's campaign.
Yeah, man. John Prine. I'm with you. I feel it. Oh, shoo. And Bernie. I'll be talking about Bernie a lot, but John Prine, man. Great singer-songwriter from Maywood, suburb just west of Chicago.
Pat Rod says, what up, guys? What up, Pat Rod? Then he says, why do Democrats and their voters love losing so much?
Oh, my God. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Pat Rod, man. Thank you. Thank you for that. I couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, your Ben Joravsky show for Wednesday, April 8th is moments away. But before we do that, let's thank the following unions for sponsoring this podcast. Unions like the International Association of Machinists and Aerospace Workers, Local 126 and District 8. The International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 9 are sponsors, as well as the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150. Thank you to those unions for sponsoring this show. And, of course, today's Ben Joravsky show for Wednesday, April 8th is brought to you by our good friends at the Chicago Federation of Labor. Benny J, hit him where it hurts.
Hit him where it hurts.
The listeners' ears. Give them a song of the day.
Well, you know what? I really like that that curl song, Hit Him Where It Hurts, because that's what Dems should do, instead of hitting them where it feels good. Oh, this is how the Dems would do the song. Let me hit you where it doesn't hurt. That's how the Dems would cover the curl song. Anyway, got to give a shout out to the great, the legendary John Bryan. He died yesterday, 73 years old. And complications from COVID-19. One of the greatest singer-songwriters to come out of the Chicago area as ever. I think that Dr. D and I will agree on that one.
The greatest songwriter to come out of America.
Oh,
I'm standing by it.
Wow. Okay, no. But whatever. I'm just going to pay nothing but respect to the man. So we'll sing Sam Stone Came Home to his wife and family, and I will not disrespect his honor anymore by singing further.
The Ben Joravsky Show starts now. It is Wednesday, April 8th, and live from Ben's house, this is the Ben Joravsky Show. Today on the program, it's the return of President and CEO of Personal Pack. We call him TC. It's Terry Cosgrove over the phone. And now your host, President and CEO of Nothing. Chicago Reader columnist Ben Joravsky.
Hello, everybody. Ben Joravsky here. We're calling this Bye-Bye Bernie Wednesday. And here's why. Yes, indeed. As you all know, Bernie Sanders dropped out of the race. It happened this morning while I was still sleeping, D. Yep. I got to start getting up earlier.
Yeah,
D,
a lot of things happen while you're still sleeping because you wake up at like 10.
Hey, man, guy's got to get his beauty sleep in the middle of this epidemic, all right? Anyway, I was snoring away and woke up to discover the little beeping thing, you know, like beep, 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 beep from the New York Times. Breaking news. Bernie Sanders dropped
Be an
out.
alert.
Yes, that's what they call an alert. Thank you. Sometimes words escape me, and I'm trying to grab them. There's that word. Let me get it. Anyway, as always, and I mean this sincerely, Bernie was gracious. Bernie is a very gracious man, despite what the Biden bros may tell you. He said he could not win. He was realistic. He said he saw no path to victory, particularly in the pandemic age when people's minds, quite understandably, are diverted from politics, except, of course, for the minds of junkies like me. It'll take more than a pandemic, D, to divert my mind from politics. And, of course, the Republicans, they never divert their minds from politics. Oh, no. As we saw yesterday in Wisconsin, they are thinking politics 24/7. As Pat Rod just said, why do Democrats enjoy nominating people who are going to lose? Why do Democrats enjoy losing so much? Republicans wake up, they come out of bed ready to fight, gouge, rip your eyeballs out, hit them where it hurts, to quote the Curls. Anyway, they were up to all their evil tricks yesterday in Wisconsin. We'll get to that. But anyway, so yes, they're paying attention despite the pandemic. Let me return to Bernie. He said the most important task ahead of us was defeating Trump. I could not agree with him more. And he pled for unity. Not that the Dems will give him any credit for the issues he's raised, the race that he has run, the people that he's brought into the fold. At the moment, let me just read you just one email I got from a Biden bro who will remain anonymous, D. I will not reveal the identity of this person. Everyone needs to support Biden now that your boy Bernie is out of the race. If you're not fully supporting Biden now, you are helping the deadly criminal enterprise of Donald Trump to get reelected to kill millions of people. And if you're not supporting Biden, you're an asshole.
You need to run that stuff by me.
I'm just quoting. And then, by the way, I left out the part where my Biden bro friend ripped. And I mean, I cleaned it up because I didn't want to swear, but felt my Biden bro friend felt compelled to drop the F-bomb in regards to Susan Sarandon, Nina Turner, and Jeff Weaver. Ah, yes.
Susan Sarandon.
What did I say?
Sarandon.
All right, calm down. Wasn't that funny? Susan Sarandon, Nina Turner, and Jeff Weaver. What did I call her? Sarandon?
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that. So anyway, so my Biden bro friends, they're not ready to make love and peace. They're still fighting the fight, even though Bernie is saying we need unity. Anyway, what? But I got to give Joe Biden credit. I got to give him. All right, he had a nice statement. I don't know if you saw the statement.
With the state of germs right now, nobody go making love to strangers, please.
So Biden said, what did he say? He had the following statement. Very gracious, D. He said he was reaching out to Bernie's supporters. He said, quote, "You will be heard by me, as you say, not me, us." How about that? Joe Biden quoting Bernie Sanders.
Don't reach out too far, buddy, if you know what I mean.
He's feeling his inner burn. And turns out that Joey Biden is a Bernie bro after all. No, I'm not supposed to say Bernie Bro D, but whatever.
Well, you said a-hole earlier. I mean, you're just letting it rip, buddy.
You know, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I hate to be the guy who's not joining the team and not falling in line. I mean, I will vote for Biden. I've said that many times, okay? I would vote for any Democrat running against Donald Trump. I would have voted for Michael Bloomberg, and he's not even a Democrat running against Donald Trump. But I just have to reiterate what I've been saying all along, that I don't think Biden is the best candidate the Democrats can come up with to lead the party in these tumultuous times. I think that's a pretty obvious statement. In fact, I believe that most Biden supporters would agree with it. You know, it's sort of like I always say about Trump supporters. If you get them alone in a room when there are just no liberals around, no Democrats around, they will all admit that Trump is a buffoon and a clown and a joke. I haven't heard. Isn't that the one with that? Wait, I haven't heard that in a while.
Yeah, I know.
That's the windmill one, right?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Republicans. When you're alone, you got to make, God, what a buffoon. Anyway, I think Biden supporters are like that. You get them alone in a room, they look around. Any Bernie guys around here? No. Oh, my God, Biden's terrible. That's what they will privately admit. But then publicly, I love him. You just got to really listen and concentrate on what he has to say because he's really smart, man. Okay, that's what they always tell me. Anyway, hate to be the bearer of the bad news, but he's not the best candidate. It brings back memories, D. Memories like the corner of a mind. Brings back memories, pre-pandemic days of the summer when we were in the midst of the Democratic debates of, what was it, July? Oh, those were glory days. There were so many candidates to choose from. You couldn't even get them on one stage for one night. They had to divide the debate into 2 nights. Remember those days?
A buffet of candidates.
We had about 20 candidates. I think one debate had 10, the other debate would have 10. And then I gotta love my guests. I would require them. All right, Samina, you gotta watch these. Do I gotta? Yes. All right. And then comment on it. Samina Mustafa would come on after almost every debate. Candace Castillo would come on after every debate. Leticia Wallace. We had so many great guests that would come in and analyze, like who did what and how so-and-so did and, ranking them. And some of my friends, of course, Steve, if you recall back in the day, they didn't watch the debates. Remember, there were a few friends who goes,
"Oh, what do they sound like?" Yeah, let's hear that.
Too many
I knew that was coming.
I prefer when they winnow it down a little bit.
How about that interview with Nick Dumke, huh? That was pretty good on Monday.
Nick, there's too many candidates. I'm so busy listening to my Bob Dylan records. Oh, Mick, I love you. Anyway, you got your wish, Mick. Now there's one candidate, Joe Biden. Hey, maybe he can debate himself. Hi, I'm Joe Biden. That would be one debate Joe Biden could win. Sorry, man. Joe Biden jokes. Anyway, so here we go. Back to the glory days of the summer when there were so many candidates running. I used to do my top 5. Did this on a regular basis. I would rank the candidates from 5 to 1. That's what I was supposed to do. Every now and then I would mess it up and go from 1 to 5.
I think you did it all the way until the pandemic, by the way.
No, I was down to 3.
Oh, you
remember?
down to 3.
I cut it down to 3.
Sorry,
Because at some point there were only I don't know, Mick got his wish, and he still wasn't watching the debates. Anyway, so yeah, I would, during the glory days of the summer, I would rank them 5, and it'd be, I think at one point I wrote this down deep from memory, but I think one of my last rankings, when there were still 20 people, Jay Inslee was number 5. He's the governor.
Who?
I'll tell you what, he's a heck of a lot better than Joe Biden. Jay
Inslee?
Inslee, the governor of Washington, is doing a good job in the midst of this pandemic. He was number 5 at one point. I really liked what he had to say about climate control, climate change. Number 4, Kamala Harris. Remember when I was drinking the Kamala Kool-Aid, D? I was really loving that. Everybody would come in and rip Kamala.
Listeners were jumping on, jumping off, jumping on, jumping off again.
Oh, my God. Yeah, and my lefty listeners were really, Ben, how you can't do that. I think Maya was ripping Kamala for a while, and, just everybody, I kind of like her. I like Kamala. I rode the Kamala wave for quite a while. Oh, here comes the brown line, D. Kamala Harris was number 4. Number 3, pretty much consistently from, I would say, September on, Andrew Yang. Remember I had the Yang crush? I like Andrew Yang.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I saw him on the Joe Rogan show. Well, I was all excited. Anyway. And then, of course, 2 and 1 really never changed throughout the entire race. Number 2, Elizabeth Warren. Number 1, Bernie Sanders. And now all 5 of those are out of the race. I got a text this morning from Joshua Smizer de Leon, a guest on this show. And
What up, Josh?
What up, Josh? And he said, "What's your top 5 now, Ben?" How did that guy know I was going to do this, D? He's like, he must be able to see into my brain. Ooh, he can see what's in my brain right now. I'm thinking about the Bulls. Anyway, Joshua, I still have a top 5. And these are the top 5 Dems I'd rather have at the top of the ticket other than Joe Biden. Because face it, Dems, Joe is, how to put it? He sucks as a candidate. But I'm still going to vote for him, okay?
So you got the top 5?
I'm going to get to the top 5. Just want to point out one more time Joe's problems as a candidate, his limitations. Number 1, he can't talk. Number 2, he disappears at the least opportune times, like right after the Illinois primary. Remember that one day? He just disappeared. And then, the thing that really boils me, he's got this, he actually seems to believe in this wishy-washy, can't we all just get along? Oh, I love you, you love me, kumbaya, let's hold hands. Bipartisanship, which hasn't existed pretty much ever.
Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night, the phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
Yeah. All right. There's your guy, Dems. That's your guy. Anyway, no, I'm going to vote for him. I'm going to vote for him. It's so funny. He's pleading, get along, hold hands. And meanwhile, I'm getting emails from his supporters ripping Susan Sarandon. Did I get it right, D? Oh, no.
That was great.
Ripping her. What did poor Susan Sarandon do other than be in some pretty good movies? Anyway, he's wishy-washy. Can't we all get along? Bipartisanship that has never existed, will never exist as long as the Republicans are around, as we saw yesterday in Wisconsin. We'll get into that. Anyways, so here are my top 5 to replace Joe Biden, starting with number 5.
Hold on. Ben's top 5 besides Biden.
Number 5? Oh, that guy walking through the alley. Hold on, Dave.
Oh, a guy in the alley.
Hey, you want to run? You. Yeah, no, you. Go into my basket, my waste paper. Yeah, go into the garbage. Yeah, you with the reefer. Yeah, you can run. That guy going through the garbage bin, smoking a joint.
You scared that guy. He just ran away. Who's this person yelling at me?
That guy, he didn't have to do anything. He'd probably get the same number of votes. I'd vote for that guy, all right? I'd vote for the guy, remember the guy in the camo and the pink flip-flops?
That wasn't him?
It was a different... I'd vote for the guy ransacking my garbage, smoking a joint. He's number 5. I'm just kidding, folks.
This whole month is going to be, the month we broadcasted in Ben's attic, and the month Ben creeped out all of his neighbors.
Wait, hold on one second.
Oh, he's back. The neighbor's back.
Hey, you in the flip-flops.
Okay,
you want to run? Huh?
We have a show to do.
Oh, sorry, man. Okay, nice flip-flops. They go with the camo.
Pig flip-flops and camo. I've never seen it until I did this show at Ben's house.
All right,
but that was number 5?
No, that was just a joke. Although I would vote for that guy over Donald Trump. Okay, with the guy with the pink flip-flops. All right, kind of cool in his own ways. Wearing camo. Wait. There's a guy right there, D. Right, you see that guy? He's getting in the car. I'll vote for that guy right there. Anybody on the brown line that just went by, I'd vote for him over Donald Trump as well. All right, no, seriously, folks. All right, here's my number 5.
Number 5.
Lori Lightfoot, Mayor Lightfoot. All right, she come at you hard, man. She don't play around. How about the counterpunch on haircut gate? You know what I'm saying? I'm the mayor. If I want to get my hair cut, I'm getting my hair cut. Okay, everybody fall in line, all right? That's what we need, some discipline, D, all right? You need a boss at the... Man, I'll tell you what, Chicago, just on a tangent here. The way you guys fell in line with Lori Lightfoot, Chicagoans, really, I forgot how much Chicagoans love a boss as a mayor. You know what I'm saying? They just love, that's their idea of leadership. Shut up, get in line, I'm the boss. Okay, that's a mayor. Anyway, Lori Lightfoot, She's a fighter, D. I've never seen Lori Lightfoot back down from a fight ever. You know what I mean? You say one bad thing about Lori Lightfoot, bam, here comes the counterpunch, right? I think the Dems could use someone like that at top of ticket. So number 5, Lori Lightfoot.
This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine.
Okay. Number 4, I'm going to go in a completely different direction.
Number 4.
Wait, there's brown line. I'll vote for that conductor right there. That guy, that conductor. No, number 4, after Lori Lightfoot, completely different direction, Michelle Obama. Now, I know what you're thinking, D. You're going, wait a minute, Ben. That's inconsistent. Wait a minute, Ben. That's contradictory. Wait a minute, Ben. You just got finished.
Are you reading my mind right now? I thought all 3 of those things at once while looking at the man with the pink flip-flops and the camo.
Hold on one second, D. Oh, hey!
He's gonna break his window doing this bit, by the way.
Hey, you homeless
His
man.
wife's gonna yell at him.
You homeless guy sleeping.
No.
You can run. Wait, sorry.
Cross the line. Did homeless guy joke. Cross the line.
I'd vote for that guy over Trump. Where was it? Oh, Michelle Obama. I know what you're thinking, D. You're like, Ben, wait a minute. I'm all confused now. First you said you wanted someone who's tough, like Lori Lightfoot. I'm going to get my hair cut. No matter what you say. I'll tell you what, it's a great haircut, by the way, D. I just really just want to give a shout out to Lori Lightfoot's barber.
Oh, wait, Lori, what's the way in?
Lori does not play around. And I just tell you, Chicagoans, you're showing me something. You know what? You guys really do love a tough mayor. You love it. Everybody's so mad at the reporters. Have you noticed that? Everyone is so mad. Poor reporters, man. You got to ask her the question. She just had the public service announcement where she said, she made a joke about people who are getting haircuts.
Wait a minute. Whoa. Weren't we talking about Michelle Obama?
Yeah,
We've
sorry.
moved on from that. We're on to the next one.
Well, Lori, because she's tough, definitely would support her for president. Number 4, and now this is where you're saying, but Ben, it's inconsistent. I don't get it. I'm all confused because you were saying no more wishy-washy. When they go low, we go high, bipartisanship. You're making fun of Joe Biden for believing in that. And the person who came up with that line was Michelle Obama. Good point, D. Thank you for raising that up.
You're welcome.
Very astute observation that you just made.
Do what I can.
And you're absolutely correct. But my feeling is, if you're going to play that game, if you're going to pretend as though we are a United States where Republicans are willing to put aside their tribal instincts and make peace with Democrats when everybody has a sort of a stake in the game. We're all, facing the pandemic. If you're going to believe in that myth, then you might as well have the most articulate purveyor of that myth, and that would be Michelle Obama. She invented the line. She's very popular among Democrats. I would think that she would definitely unite the party, and, she would have Barack Obama. So, I know she's the exact opposite of Lori. Lori's a counterpuncher. Michelle's we can all get along, but I would rather have Michelle Obama at the top of the ticket than Joey Biden. So that's number 4. Number 3.
What's up?
No, you're supposed to do that. Number 3.
Oh.
You forgot. I'll do it. Number 3. Number 3 is a shocker, D. Cory Booker.
Oh, my.
Leah was right. You remember?
Number 3.
There we go. I see. That's how we do it. This summer we had an editor, Leah, and she liked Cory.
Do you still listen to this show? Did you just abandon, screw these guys after she was done with her internship?
She did a great job. She honestly liked Cory Booker. Remember we were all teasing her? Oh my God, Cory Booker. Oh. I'd like to say, Leah, you were right. I mean, Cory Booker had energy, D. I think he'd be a vigorous challenge to Donald Trump, to put it mildly. A lot more vigorous than Joe Biden. So, I just sort of miss his energy. And I think my problem with Cory Booker, my problem with so many of the Dems is that I was fighting fights from the last 10 years. So, for instance, charter schools, Cory Booker was a huge supporter of charter schools. And I wasn't thinking in the moment. You know what I mean? The challenge that we're facing right now with Donald John Trump. I was still fighting a fight that went on from 10 years ago. So I'm guilty of that. So yeah, you were right, Leah. I think Cory Booker, we could use some of his energy, his enthusiasm. his idealism. Could use him in the race right now. I know many of my lefty listeners are like, oh my God, this terrible Cory. I'm just coming up with my list of 5 that I would rather have than Joe Biden.
All right, before we get to number 2, let's recap our 5 through 3 for those who may have just tuned in.
All right, well, tied for number 5 is, hey! Hey, you!
Why did I set you up for that?
Hey, delivery guy! All right, yeah, you with the pizza. Come on.
No, seriously, that's my pizza. Get him in there.
Oh, sorry, man. Wait, is it pepperoni? I love. All right, so number 5. Number 5, Lori Lightfoot.
You're asking me. You wrote the list, dude. You wrote the list.
I forgot.
Hey, what did I do?
Lori Lightfoot, a great counterpuncher. Number 4, Michelle Obama, the complete opposite of Lori Lightfoot. You know, get along with everybody. Can't we all just get along? Number 3, Mr. Energy, Cory Booker.
Shout out to Leah.
Shout out to Leah. Leah, you were right. You were right, Leah. Yep, you were right.
All right, moving on.
Number 2.
Moving on up. Number 2, Andrew Cuomo. All right, he's done a great job as governor of New York in this pandemic.
AC.
He's a classic case of a guy that I disagreed with on pretty much every single issue coming into the pandemic. I would have been on opposite side of education. Oh, he was ready to throw money at Amazon as well, but he's done a great job being the face of New York during this crisis, and just dealing with the meltdown in New York City. So I think he would be a great choice to run against Donald Trump.
All right, and live stream listeners, don't worry. We're going to read all of your comments on Ben's list after we're done, okay?
Plus, he would have like his brother. He's got it's a twofer thing. So you got the Chris Cuomo guy on CNN, and the Republicans.
Hey, chipped his twofer. You hear about that?
Yes, I did. I for a while I didn't get your joke, but yes, Chris Cuomo chipped his tooth. Yes, so it's really infuriating Republicans. It's not fair that the brother of the governor is on CNN. Oh, stop crying! You own Fox TV. You got half the country watching the propaganda wing of Donald Trump's administration. So stop sobbing, Republicans. And number 1, of course, Dennis's favorite and mine too.
Number 1.
J.B. Pritzker, governor of the state of Illinois, done a great job, showing a lot of empathy for people who are struggling with just being locked up and people in the front lines. So, yes, I would say J.B. Pritzker would be my number 1 choice right now. Just tap Joe Biden on the shoulder, go, all right, Joey B. You can, I don't know, you can go on TV and talk about the J.B. Pritzker campaign. So those are my top 5. Wait, hold on one more second. Hey! Yeah, you! Medical supply delivery guy. Yeah, you can run.
All right, last time you're hearing that bit on the vid. Well, maybe, I don't know, we'll probably bring that back. I like that bit.
You like the bit?
Hey, you!
I told
A lot of people in his alley. It's the most, it's the busiest alley I've ever seen in my life.
Hey, you, kid in the tricycle. Yeah, you.
Weed smokers, tricycle, hope the kid, the tricycle.
No, but the dude with the pink flip-flops, dude, come on. That guy makes our day. Anyway, that's my top 5. And yes, I look forward to hearing what our live stream has to say about it. I'm sure they take issue with a few of my names on that list. And by the way, I also want, I may throw in TC, our guest today, Terry Cosgrove. Put your big pants on, Terry TC. Might throw him on that list too. I think Terry Cosgrove would do a better job than Joe Biden running against Donald John Trump. Anyway. That's my top 5. And now, before we go any further, the man, the myth, the legend, the pride and joy of Alton, Illinois, back home in Alton, they call him the doctor, with the news.
Oh, we're going to read this list right now. We're not transitioning into anything, pal. All right, shout out to the live stream audience. You just heard Ben's top 5. Picked a former presidential candidate, but not Elizabeth Warren, like Ro Dolan says. Let's see here. Dragon Slayer. Oh, no, we're going to start from the top here. And see. Okay, first off, Kyle says, Ben seems like he really wants to write that article about blaming the Chicago and U.S. electorate. And I, for one, really want that article, too.
I'm with you 100%, and it is coming. Okay, you read my mind. Heck of a job, Dems. Really, heck of a job. One more time. Democrats like to think of themselves as this like really sophisticated pundits. I think they watch too much NPR or listen to too much NPR. I mean, they do. I think Joe Biden is the most electable among swing voters in Wisconsin. They don't vote for anything they believe in. They just like have this notion of what's electable in swing voters in Wisconsin. They all think they're like David Axelrod. Yeah, I'm writing that column right now as we speak.
Kyle also says, my top 5 candidates: depression, high anxiety, melancholy, existential dread, and crying in terror.
Yeah, that about sums it up, man. That's a good list. I can't argue with anything on that list.
Now, it looks like Dragon Slayer 19 may be your biggest critic here.
Okay.
We haven't heard from Dragon Slayer 19 in a while, by the way. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're hanging in there, buddy.
DS.
Yeah, DS. Dragon Slayer 19 says, if Dr. D doesn't make the list at this point, he should quit. I was thinking that. Great minds think alike.
That is great. Yeah, that's a good point. All right, you know what? I'm bumping. Let's see. I'm bumping Michelle Obama and putting you in, D.
Oh, Michael weighed in. Michael, what's happening? He says a haircut gate is real. By the way.
Oh yeah, it is real. It is real, but it's kind of I think it's past in terms of like. Did you notice there was no follow up to that one? Eddie Gate lasted for about a week, didn't it, D?
Yeah.
Eddie Johnson Gate. Man, simpler times.
Dragon Slayer once again says, hey, man, if you're going to have a ridiculous list, why not Ilhan Omar, since she would actually be good?
Well, could she get elected? Would I vote? First of all, I would vote for her in a heartbeat over Donald John Trump. Not sure she would get elected. I'm thinking more of electability here, but she probably has as good a chance as the guy who delivered the pizza. That's for certain.
All right, and Kyle weighed in again. Leah, if you're listening to this, hold your ears, all right? Kyle says, Cory Booker? He didn't even make your list when he was running. My thoughts exactly, Kyle. How's he going to make the list now, but he didn't even make it then when he was running and in your face on television every day?
Kyle, you raise a very good point. Cannot really dispute that point. Cannot argue with you on that point. As I recall, I made fun of Leah for putting Cory Booker on the list. So you make a very good point. At which point I must say this to your point. Times have changed.
He says, what are you doing? What an insane roller coaster ride. Me banging my head against a wall. Then you went on with your list, and it got worse, according to Dragon Slayer 19, because Dragon Slayer 19 goes, Ben, why?
Wait a minute, time out. What's worse than Cory Booker? Cuomo and Pritzker? I mean, Pritzker's been pretty good.
And then Kyle said, plus Cuomo spent years cutting state aid to state health. I think I may need glasses. State aid to state health institutions. Fewer hospitals, fewer beds, fewer resources.
No, listen. Now that you put it that way, now I'm really more depressed. I was trying to be upbeat and optimistic. It was a tough day. I woke up this morning and I read about what went down in Wisconsin yesterday. That Republican insurgency there to do everything they can to guarantee that Donald Trump, that's what it's all about, folks. It's just a preamble to what's going to happen in November, trying to guarantee that Donald Trump gets reelected and wins Wisconsin again. So I watched how successful they were getting the courts, the Republican judges and all levels of the judiciary to ratify their decision. And then Bernie drops out. I was hoping Bernie would stay in the race just to push Biden a little left. So it was rough. So I try to, come up with some names, good names, but you're right. Who Dragon Slayer. I mean, Cuomo, oh my goodness, as I said, he is, I probably would never support him. Like Cynthia Nixon ran against him in 2018, I would have supported her. But
Dragon Slayer 19 says, I think it's finally time to have an intervention with Ben and lists. I agree. I'm right there with you.
Hold on one second.
And this bit, an intervention with Ben in this window.
Yeah, come on in there. Yeah, you run. Okay.
Who was that?
That was Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer going through the alley, slaying dragons.
Wow, live streaming and in an alley.
Yeah, easy.
Come on inside.
He could do it all.
Good times.
Yeah,
all
anyway,
right,
so that's my list. All right, that's my list. I'm sticking with that list. Lightfoot, Obama, Booker, Cuomo, Pritzker.
What's your top 5 besides Biden? If you're listening on the download, feel free to go to the Ben Joravsky Show Facebook page at Benny J Show, BENNY, the letter J Show. Or you can send us an email if you'd like. BennyJShow@gmail.com. BENNY, the letter J, show @gmail.com. I've been trying to push that email address. Ben, let's check the email out real quick and see what we got. I was really pushing it hard yesterday. Let me see. Yeah, nothing. No one's sending us emails. Send us an email.
Yeah, email's kind of like old people do that.
Hey, stop it. Send us an email, guys. We'd love to hear from you. By the way, producer Dennis's top 5, Bernie, Michelle Obama, Bernie, J.B. Pritzker, and Bernie.
That's correct.
Wait, hold on. Let me write yours down. So who was number 5?
Bernie.
Who was 4?
Michelle Obama.
Who was 3?
Bernie.
Okay. All right. And 2?
Pritzker.
And 1?
Bernie.
All right. You might as well ask that guy in the alley because Bernie already just dropped out.
You picked Cory Booker.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, Leo was right, all right?
All right, let's move on here.
But that was funny. He was never on my top 5 the whole time. You're right.
No.
Never once cracked the top 5. Kamala Harris cracked the top 5. Jay Inslee cracked the top 5. At one point, Biden was on. Remember that? I like Biden. I was really stretching. Hey, my challenge to you guys, you only have the candidates running. You come up with a top 5. It's not as easy as it looks.
Moving on. Yes, it's true.
I wish I could give you better news.
Bernie Sanders has dropped out of the presidential race.
I think you know the truth.
I think you know the truth. He's out of the race. More on that in moments. We have audio to play, but first, let's talk about what's happening in Chicago and or Illinois this afternoon. First up, Ben, take a wild guess as to what our Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is up to today.
Oh, he's getting ready for his briefing,
You're
right?
darn right. His COVID-19 press conference at 2:30. Check it out if you want to get informed. Well, we've said it once, and we'll say it so many times throughout this crazy time. Please do not rely on the Ben Joravsky show for up-to-date, valid information on what to do in the COVID-19, unless we have Dr. Howard Ehrman on the program.
And Dr. Crystal Cash. She'll be coming on next week. She's got a lot of interesting things to say.
Other than that, it's just two dudes talking about who they're going to pick besides Biden. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
That's good advice, D.
Oh, yeah, I do what I can. So that's what's going on with our Illinois governor. Nope. The town of Alton, Illinois did not make the news 2 days in a row, so we're going to go to the city of Chicago. And this is going to be very interesting to see if this goes down, Ben. The following comes from Illinois Politico and one Shia Kapos. Zoom. You love Zoom, don't you, Ben?
Zoom. What about Zoom? What did Zoom do now?
Members of the Chicago City Council have been testing out their video conferencing abilities. They held a virtual meeting Tuesday to discuss how they might move forward for official meetings for committees and even the full city council. Can you imagine a Zoom full city council meeting, Ben?
I'll tell you what. I'm looking for David Glowatz, who does our city council updates. Does a great job, by the way. I can't wait to go through that. A Zoom city council meeting with DG.
Good Lord. I have trouble with one person, let alone, 50? I'd have a headache.
I know. It'd be really tough. 50. Wow, 50. The Zoom thing, man. Yeah, I could just see the sound quality is not that great on Zoom.
Yeah.
I know you guys love Zoom. Oh, my God. Zoom. But the sound quality, it's always breaking down. Have you ever noticed that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll never get Zoom as a sponsor, will we, Ben?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's breaking down.
It's always breaking
man.
down. Please don't do. And then they always do this thing where they go, "Have you heard of Zoom?" No, I've never heard of it before. Really? The guests.
Can you just imagine that, though? 50 people. Hello?
I know. And then in Zoom, like if you have if 3 people are having a conversation or doing an interview if they start talking over each other, it just blocks out all sound. Everything just dies. So I don't know why people love Zoom so much, but
once again, boy, you're not reeling them in as sponsors, are you? Okay, they're trying to figure out how to meet and make sure the public has access and can participate virtually as well. Mm-hmm. The next city council meeting is scheduled for, Ben, let's see how big of a dork you are here. When's the next city council meeting scheduled?
Well, I'm bad with dates. I actually know this because Dave Glowatz and I were talking about this. So I'm bad with dates. What's a week? The 15th, I want to say.
That's correct.
Wow.
Still got it.
Yeah.
Still a dork.
Yeah.
All right, there's some disagreement as how to do this. Is it enough to meet virtually to approve future official virtual meetings? Some aldermen, including Alderman Ray Lopez, want to adhere to rules stating that they must meet in person to adopt new rules that would allow them to move forward and meet virtually. It says here the law department. Well, this is let's see. Oh, we got a quote from Ray Lopez here. It says the law department believes that we can proceed virtually, but if we can get 26 aldermen to walk into the chamber, even if it's just to adopt the rules and get the hell out, I would rather be on rock solid footing than just on regular ground.
Well, Ray is expressing his inner Republican. That sounds, he's drifting toward the argument raised by the Republican justices who argued against Wisconsin extending the period when people can vote. They said there's rule of law, you have to follow the rules, even in the moment of a crisis. So Ray is sort of echoing that the rules are the rules, and the rules must not be broken, even if we're in the middle of a pandemic. I don't know, I think that's a little harsh. Myself, Ray Lopez, I appreciate the fact that you're willing to speak up and be a voice of opposition in the city of Chicago. The city of Chicago always needs voices of opposition because people in the city of Chicago have a tendency just falling in line behind powerful mayors, as we discovered with Haircut Gate. So I respect the fact that you're willing to speak out, but I don't know. I'm just trying to picture, could you situate all the aldermen in the Chicago City Council so that they had enough space between them? And
oh, wow.
Yeah, just trying to picture it. So some aldermen would not be sitting at their seats in the where the councilmen sit. They would be sitting in where the audience generally sits. And then maybe if you had them in the press box as well, really spread out, maybe you could do that. I don't know, but it just doesn't seem to be a practical thing to attempt. But I don't know. You could get 26. So let's see, how would it work? You would have a caucus beforehand and then determine that there was enough votes to suspend the rules. So then you would just arrange to have 26 people show up to have the vote. You know what? If you can find 26 people willing to say they want the rules suspended without having...
oh, and don't forget the second part, and get the hell out of there.
Yeah, get the hell out of there. Now, Ray Lo, I'm with you in being the voice of opposition. Every all-powerful mayor needs a voice of opposition, but I don't know. I think it's just too dangerous.
Now, like all these video conferencing calls, there were lighthearted moments. Alderman Carlos Ramirez Rosa of the 35th Ward, his dog made an appearance. And Alderman Andre Vasquez did a quick lesson on how to do Zoom backdrops. Oh, man.
What was that?
Like, what's going on in the background.
Yeah.
Things you can put in the background,
Yeah.
a backdrop.
Yeah.
The best part, of course, is seeing how everyone's home office looks. Alderman Ed Burke was one of the few who connected from his ward office.
Ed Burke's still around, huh? As alderman, okay.
Hey, who's that knocking on the door at your office?
Yeah. Of course, lost for his committeeman race, but he's still the alderman, yeah.
It says here, we got another quote from Ray Lopez. It's exciting to be on the cusp of an emerging way to connect government with the people. I feel like we're at the dawn of the digital age's printing press, governmentally speaking.
Who said that?
Ray Lopez.
Wait a minute. Ray Lopez is now, he's for it, and then he's like, he's starting to sound like me on Cory Booker. What do you...
he's excited.
He's excited by it. He loves Zoom, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I think they should just do it virtually. I don't think there's any need to bring everybody into the city council. Again, it's a mixed message, D. So many mixed messages, right? Yesterday's a giant mixed message in the state of Wisconsin, that's for sure. So, yeah, I say just do it virtually. You guys love Zoom so much, and, it's the new digital thing, so go with it.
All right, and shout out to Cheryl. She reached out to us here. She sent us an email, an article from Cranes that she wants you to read, Ben. So maybe,
speaking of articles,
maybe
go ahead.
after the program you can read that article, and who knows, maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow. You know what I mean?
What's the headline? Do you have it in front of you?
She says here, tax incentives favor the haves.
Cranes wrote that?
Well,
that sounds like something
I
I
don't know
wrote.
if that's the headline. That's what she just told me here.
Yeah.
So
That sounds like an article I definitely want to read.
yeah, it says tax incentives favor the haves.
By the way, can I just interrupt you for a moment to give a shout out to young Dan Pogoszelski, who is one of the political know-it-alls. Did you see that interview, D, that he did yesterday? It was fascinating. I'm trying to call it up, and now I can't find it. He gave an interview with a Polish newspaper. Dan Pogoszelski comes on the show once a month. with Jacob Kaplan, the political know-it-alls, knows absolutely everything about local politics. He did an interview and he talked about how the pandemic is affecting politics in this country. We should post this on our Facebook page. It's an excellent interview. It's some great insights, particularly on the impact on elections and how the pandemic is going to force us to reconsider how we go about doing elections. And I tell you, if nothing else, if you saw those lines in Wisconsin yesterday, in Milwaukee, they reduced the number of polling places from 180 to 5, and so people were like risking their lives essentially to go out and vote. If that wasn't an advertisement for more over the mail, through the mail voting, I don't know what is. So good. Shout out to young Dan. That was a great interview with that Polish publication. We'll put up on our website.
Danny P, what's going on? And by the way, if you're looking to get married, maybe he'll do it online. I don't know. All right, so let's talk more about the big news that happened today. Bernard Sanders has dropped out of the presidential race. I have audio here. He spoke live from New Hampshire today at his house, it looks like, and he had some words to say. So, Ben, feel free to riff on these as we play them. Here we go. Oh, wait, hold on. I realized I got a different setup than what I had before. Thought we were at the Sun Times studio there for a minute. All right, so hang tight with me here. I got to pull this audio out. Ben, stall.
Stall?
Yeah.
Okay. What's it, New Hampshire? I thought it was Vermont, wasn't it? Whatever. A triviality to stall over. Bernie Sanders drops out of the race, and I was very disappointed to hear that. You ready, D?
Yep.
I wish I could give you better news, but I think you know the truth. And that is that we are now some 300 delegates behind Vice President Biden, and the path toward victory is virtually impossible. So while we are winning the ideological battle, and while we are winning the support of so many young people and working people throughout the country, I have concluded that this battle for the Democratic nomination will not be successful. And so today, I am announcing the suspension of my campaign.
You notice he says suspension of his campaign, so his name will appear on the ballot in whatever primaries are remaining, in the hopes that people will still come out to vote for him. If you're a Bernie Sanders supporter, I urge you to vote for Bernie. That would give Bernie more influence at the Democratic convention whenever it is held, however it is held. Maybe that thing will be a virtual convention as well. So he's suspending the campaign in order to encourage people to vote for him, so that, as he puts it, they continue the ideological battle. And I think he's absolutely correct. I've had enough people on this show, both Bernie supporters and Biden supporters, Elizabeth Warren supporters, had all over from many of the different candidates in the race. And it's pretty clear to me that, ideologically speaking, Bernie's view is far more popular among Democrats. Democrats have just convinced themselves somehow or other that they can't vote for the things that they believe in, because the things that they believe in will ultimately lose on election day, even if most people believe in them. Makes no sense at all. I think it was Pat Rod who said it best. One of our listeners who weighed in goes, why do Democrats like losing so much? Because sometimes Democrats are just a little too smart for their own good, and they outwit themselves, and they all try to be the cleverest pundits in the world. But anyway, Bernie's correct. There really is no path forward for victory. He was not winning the black vote, to put it mildly. I think Joe Biden was winning upwards of 70%. You cannot win the nomination without the black vote. And in addition to that, he was not winning over sort of the moderate, centrist Democrats. That's putting it mildly. They can't stand him. And so even though this country needs health care for all, even though this country needs college tuition for public schools, free college tuition for public schools. These are the things that Bernie Sanders has been advocating. Even though we need these things, we're not going to get them at the moment, or at least we're not going to have a champion of these causes in the race. So that's why I'm urging all Bernie Sanders supporters, you can still vote for your guy. You know, he's not going to win, but maybe that'll push Joe Biden a little to the left.
Please know that I do not make this decision lightly. In fact, it has been a very difficult and painful decision. Over the past few weeks, Jane and I, in consultation with top staff and many of our prominent supporters, have made an honest assessment of the prospects for victory. If I believed we had a feasible path to the nomination, I would certainly continue the campaign. But it's just not there. I know that there may be some in our movement who disagree with this decision, who would like us to fight on to the last ballot cast at the Democratic Convention. I understand that position. But as I see the crisis gripping the nation, exacerbated by a president unwilling or unable to provide any kind of credible leadership, and the work that needs to be done to protect people in this most desperate hour, I cannot, in good conscience, continue to mount a campaign that cannot win and which would interfere with the important work required of all of us in this difficult hour.
Well put. Man, it makes me miss Bernie even more. You know, I'm just going to pause here, Dee, to think about all the hate that Bernie faced from the Biden bros of the world, going back to 2016. They never dropped. And I could tell you, I have a lot of Biden bro friends, and they'd be sending me emails and, you know, texts. And I listened to the guy, completely gracious statement. By the way, he supported Hillary in 2016. Hillary's still walking around moaning about, didn't support him enough, didn't support him early enough. You know, always blaming Bernie for the 2016 election. I'm probably going to blame him, figure out some way to blame him now.
Now, give us a percentage here. What are the chances Hillary Clinton comes back in the race?
0.
0.
Yeah, 0. I mean, no. Okay, I mean, that, like, in other words, what I was, my dream top 5 were the
I
powers.
noticed she wasn't in that top 5.
No, she should not be. The Democratic Party should move away from the Clintons. I think that would be a good idea. That would be my recommendation.
Absolutely.
That would be my suggestion, folks. Move away from the Clintons.
Step away from the Clintons. Protected by Viper.
No, just there you go. Just stay away from the Clintons. You know, you've been there, done that. Didn't really work in 2016. And by the way, Michelle Obama is my Clintonian type figure. It's the notion that somehow if you're nice and you preach, you know, outreach, it'll work. And so if you're going to go that path, I would go with Michelle Obama. If that's what you think is going to work, as opposed to a bare knuckle fighter like Cuomo, or somebody really rich like J.B. Pritzker, then if you want to go that route, go with Michelle Obama. But no, God, D. Hillary Clinton would be a disaster.
Today, I congratulate Joe Biden, a very decent man, who I will work with to move our progressive ideas forward.
There you go.
All right. Now, this is an interesting point. Joe Biden, a very decent man. D, we heard throughout the campaign from lefties who wanted Bernie Sanders to be harder on Joe Biden. Remember that? They wanted Bernie Sanders to go after Joe Biden. They wanted Bernie Sanders to rip him to shreds. They thought, in fact, within the Bernie Sanders campaign, there was debate, like, how hard should Bernie Sanders go on Biden with negative ads, hit ads? And Bernie never went there. Bernie always pulled back. Bernie and Jane Sanders, apparently, I read the articles, same articles most of you have probably read, Political Junkies. Behind the scenes, it was Bernie and his wife were saying, no, we don't want to go negative. We don't want to go dirty. In retrospect, would it have won the Democratic nomination? I don't think so. But he probably would have gotten more votes, or Joe Biden would have gotten fewer votes because negative works in politics. Hate to say it. But again, Bernie Sanders, a decent man. Not that anybody will recognize that fact, from the Biden camp, but he's a decent man. And
yeah, would they return that favor?
Yeah, not likely. So,
on a practical note, let me also say this. I will stay on the ballot in all remaining states and continue to gather delegates. While Vice President Biden will be the nominee, we must continue working to assemble as many delegates as possible at the Democratic Convention, where we will be able to exert significant influence over the party platform and other functions. Then together, standing united, we will go forward to defeat Donald Trump, the most dangerous president in modern American history. And we will fight to elect strong progressives at every level of government, from Congress to the school board.
most dangerous president in American history. I completely agree with you, Bernie Sanders, and the need to elect progressives all the way down to the school board. I agree with you on that point as well. Yes, keep your name on the ballot. And as I said before, Bernie supporters, you should vote for him. If Bernie represents the direction you think the Democratic Party should go in, not just to win elections, but to shape our future in a positive way, then you should vote for what you believe in, and you shouldn't just drop out and vote for the party leader already. I've always advocated that people should vote in a primary from their heart, what they really believe in. And if Bernie's your guy, you should continue to vote for him, because as Bernie points out, if he comes into that convention, whenever it is, wherever it is, virtual or for real, in August, if he comes in with more delegates and more votes, he will have more influence on the direction of the party. And so maybe it won't be that easy for Joe Biden just to, dismiss healthcare for all as a losing issue, like he did during the debates that we talked about. Dismiss it as unrealistic. Everything Bernie was calling for, not everything, but so many of the things that Bernie was calling for, Republicans signed onto immediately in the face of this current crisis. Isn't that interesting? Republicans dropped all opposition, and Democrats were so afraid throughout the debates that somehow or other they would lose swing votes and independent voters if they promoted what they believed in. That's what they kept saying to Bernie Sanders. Oh, it's pie in the sky. It's a pipe dream. Maybe Amy Klobuchar. I don't think Amy Klobuchar ever cracked my top 5, D.
I love pie.
Yeah.
Pie in a while.
So, yes, I urge all Bernie Sanders supporters vote for Bernie.
Shout out to our good friend Jimbo here. We're going to ask this question to Ben, and then we'll move on here. Jimbo, what's going on? Thanks for finding the podcast, by the way. He was listening to us, before you get fired.
Oh, yeah.
All right. He says here, hey, Ben and Dr. D, it's beginning to look just like 2016 all over again, isn't it? People never learn. It's insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results.
Yeah, I wish I could be, this day, all day long, I've been saying, I wish I could be more optimistic. I wish I could be less gloomy. But yes, Jimbo, it's beginning to look like a 2016 all over again, with Democrats yelling at the 30% of their party that supports Bernie Sanders type initiatives, yelling at them to shut up and fall in line and support the party wherever it goes, no matter how far right it drifts. Yes, it's beginning to look like 2016, but I'll put it to you this way. The stakes are really high in this election, and I know the stakes were high in 2016. People perhaps didn't realize it. We're seeing it now. A total abandonment of even the principle of collective security through government. Donald Trump and the Republicans is like an existential threat. When I listen to them, when I listen to the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, and his reluctance to close down beaches and to close down restaurants on the shore because he doesn't want to hurt businesses. It doesn't really believe what scientists tell him. Then I realize, as Joe Biden has got to be an improvement over that. Lefty Democrats like myself have got to realize that Joe Biden would be an improvement over that. But it's a bitter pill to swallow, Jimbo. I'm with you 100%. It's just a tough pill to swallow to have to go through this another election cycle, D. Another one. Tough pill to swallow.
All right, I lied. We had another good comment here on the live stream chat. Shout out to Brent. Brent, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing okay. Please take care of yourself. Brent says, and what do you say to someone like Brent, who says not voting for Biden at all?
Well, my first question is, where do you live? So if you live in Illinois, it's less problematic than, let's say, if you live in Wisconsin or if you live in Michigan. And it's really hard for me at the moment. What is today's date? April 8th, in the middle of a pandemic, and feeling really disappointed about Bernie dropping out of the race, D, to start immediately reaching out to the Brents of the world. How many months do we have before the election? There'll be so much will happen, so much will change. Maybe that will convince Brent to vote Democrat. So I'm not really going to make a strong. But I know Terry Cosgrove, will come on and make an attempt. Maybe he'll convince Brent. I doubt it. But listen, Brent's not the only person I know who said things like that. A lot of Bernie Sanders supporters I talked to and know have told me they're not going to vote for Joe Biden no matter what. And I'm like, I listen. I hear what they're saying. It's April, D. You know what I'm saying? So see what they're saying in November and where they live. That's perhaps more important. We have this crazy electoral college system, as we all know. So if you lose, you can win, as Donald Trump did in 2016. So there's really nothing I could say to Brent right now, because what good would it do? He would still say no, and then it wouldn't matter anyway, D. November is when it will really matter.
All right, and there is an update here on some Chicago City news, but we got a new live stream chatter here. His name is Team Chaos.
Okay.
What's up, dude? He's from Detroit. He says, do you think that we will get a real convention for the DOC because of COVID-19?
No, I think it's going to be a virtual. That's how I'm viewing it right now. It's going to be a virtual. I was reading an article. What's his name? Team Chaos? Did you say?
Team Chaos. K-A-Y-O-S.
Yeah, Chaos. I was reading a story in the paper today about a proposal that baseball has. They really want to get some games going. So what they would do is have the players play in stadiums, but there would be no fans, and so the teams would not be sitting in the dugout. The players would be sitting in the stands, like 6 feet apart, where there's proper social distancing. Yeah. The umpire would not be right behind the catcher. The umpire would be like 10 feet behind the catcher. Good luck. I guess you have a telescope.
There would be so much man-spreading happening if that happened.
Yes. Remember the picture of me and somebody Ben's man-spreading? Remember that one?
Yeah.
That was funny. Anyway, so I have a feeling that the Democrats and Republicans will probably have to have virtual conventions. I don't see this ending anytime soon.
All right, now to the Chicago City update. Oh, boy, liquor lovers, get ready.
Get ready to get ripped.
Yeah, the following comes from the Chicago Sun-Times and the Sun-Times staff. They all work together on this one. Mayor Lori Lightfoot today imposed a 9 p.m. curfew for all liquor sales in Chicago to prevent people from congregating outside those stores, which could lead to community spread of the coronavirus. At a Wednesday news conference, Lightfoot said that the city is, quote, not messing around with this and has empowered police and city inspectors to issue fines and shutdown orders. She thanked liquor store owners for their, quote, unqualified support for this measure, but added that, quote, far too many have been congregating at stores that sell liquor. The mayor already had hinted at a possible curfew earlier this week after outlining a sweeping plan to bridge a racial divide tied to the pandemic that mirrors the life expectancy gap between black and white Chicagoans. 72% of city residents who have died from the virus are African American. At the time, the mayor promised increased surveillance of groceries and convenience stores to enforce the social distancing requirement that patrons remain at least 6 feet apart. So liquor stores may be shutting down after 9. Ben.
No, it's good. I mean, anything we can to reduce, to flatten the curve, as they say. I would just like to point out that when this moment passes, we should think about all the inequities that exist in our city that have resulted in this disparity in the death rate, the number of black people dying from this virus as opposed to the number of white people. And I would submit that liquor store hours are not at the top of the list, that we should seriously consider about public health initiatives along the lines that Dr. Howard Ehrman has discussed in the show. Crystal Cash will be coming. Dr. Crystal Cash will be coming on the show next week to talk about it as well. So it's just, I'm with her. I'm with Lori Lightfoot on this one. I just hope that we draw the right lessons post-pandemic when you think about how we spend our dollars and what kind of initiatives we come up with. Maybe, I'm just throwing this out there, leaders of the city of Chicago, spend less of our money on upscale gentrifying neighborhoods like Lincoln Yards, just throwing that out there, and more money on, public nurses, clinics, medical outreach, just all the things that Dr. Ehrman's talking about, all the things we've cut back on, mental health clinics, all the things we've cut back on over the last 30 years. And so instead of like the lessons being closed liquor stores at 9 p.m., which is important to do, I'm glad we're doing it in the middle of the pandemic, but post-pandemic, I hope we listen to the Howard Ehrmans of the world and the Crystal Cashes of the world as to what we should do as a city.
All right, we're going to keep everybody posted on that and other stories as today's program rolls along. And we're going to roll on to our next guest here, Terry Cosgrove of Personal Pack. Let's call him up and see if he answers the phone. What do you say, Ben? We're going to get Terry, and then we're going to take a break.
Glendale Pharmacy, we make it our habit to fill your habit. Can I help you?
Hey, Terry.
Terry Cosgrove, you're live.
No, don't say that.
Yeah, about that.
All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back, everybody. Terry, hang tight. Read the Chicago Reader to get up to speed on what's what in Chicago. Culture, food, arts and entertainment, weekly concert listings, weekly event listings, the environment, travel. I can continue, but you get the point. And for all of you Chicago political junkies, raw weekly columns on real city politics from Maya Dukmasova and our very own Ben Joravsky. The Chicago Reader, free to the public in newsstands throughout the city and online at chicagoreader.com. Read it now and be a more informed Chicagoan.
Check this out. Illinois has recreational cannabis, right? But what if you want to feel real good without getting high? And how about ordering it online and getting it right to your door? Well, there's this company, Mineral. They do whole plant hemp oil formulations. It's like CBD, but it's more than CBD. Mineral grows the hemp in Colorado. They formulate the product in Colorado, and they create these organic, all-plant formulations for anxiety, stress, inflammation, post-at-home workout, and get this, the sleep one. It's fantastic. So what makes them unique is they actually blend these plant components together. Things that the body has, like fats and vitamins that actually increase the absorption and effectiveness. So you actually get to feel the benefit of these formulations. Truly. The guy who founded the company, Mills is his name. He's coming on the show next week, and you're going to hear his story. He was in Peru. They tried to take out his colon, but he used cannabis oil to recover instead. I know, it sounds trippy, but wait till you hear his story. It's Mineral. It's a beautiful company, beautiful formulations. I love the balance. I love the sleep. It's mineralhealth.co. That's mineralhealth.co. And if you're listening to this podcast, and I know you are, you want to try their formulations? Then use code Chicago15. That's Chicago spelled out and the number 15. That's CHICAGO15. You do that, you'll get 15% off your first order. That's 15%. That's only available for listeners of the podcast. So use that code. Thank you, Mineral, and thank yourselves too, because you're going to love this stuff. Cannabis. without the high.
Ben,
Correct.
Ben, stop yelling at people in the alley. Welcome back to the Ben Joravsky Show, live from Ben's house.
Live from my house, overlooking the alley, overlooking the Brown Line. With us, Terry Cosgrove, the legendary TC, president of Personal Pack. You there, Terry?
I am here, Ben, except I missed seeing you and Dennis in person. This isn't the same. I don't get to see you shake your head, and Dennis, his eyes open wide when I say something outrageous. So, look, I can hear him now.
Yeah.
So,
Say something
so
outrageous.
how you guys doing?
Well,
How are you?
We're hanging in there, Terry, and we've been now doing the show from my attic overlooking the alley and the Brown Line since the 18th of March, the day after. We went on Tuesday the 17th to the Sun-Times, the old studio, but we were still doing interviews by phone. And then after that, Dennis and I looked at each other and said, what's the point? So we've been operating out of my attic ever since, and slowly getting used to it, slowly getting used to it. As you're
Right.
Where are you operating out of your apartment? Or
Yeah,
home?
I left. I kind of did the same thing. You know, I was around a lot of people on election day, and then on that Wednesday, I went into the office, kind of sent out the cleanup emails, collected the mail and newspapers, and walked out the door. And I've only been back once since, and I'm actually going tomorrow for about an hour. I'm the only one, you know, allowed in, and it's just to collect the mail and you know, and I clean every door knob and sanitize everything, so I'm being safe, and you know, and no one's around. I mean, that's the other thing. It's you don't have to social distance much in the loop. There's no one there.
Yeah.
You know, so which is good. You know, people
Yes.
shouldn't be. And I you know, I want to give a shout out when I say that, because I think that, you know, you, Dennis, and I are part of the lucky people that can stay at home, and I really feel for the, you know, all the frontline workers that are keeping everything running while we're at home. And I do think each of them should get this $25,000 war pay that's being talked about. I mean, the grocers, the CTA drivers, obviously all the medical frontline people, but you know, all the people that are basically maligned all the rest of the time and treated like second-class citizens are our heroes, and they should be compensated for that.
I'm with you 100% on one, Terry. I see eye to eye within that one. And I saw a picture the other day on social media that was really disturbing, of a bus packed with workers, people going to work. They have no other way of getting to work. And it just really hurt. We wonder why. And almost everybody on this particular bus was black. And those statistics were stunning. They came out. So that's part of the reason. Now, Terry Cosgrove's been coming on the show forever. Ever since I had a show, he's been on. He has a very practical, pragmatic view of politics, how the game plays. He's the president of Personal Pack, which is perhaps the largest, it's definitely in the state of Illinois, the largest pro-choice pack in the state of Illinois. So Terry is a student of how state politics works. And I'm just going to read something from Terry's website, or that accompanies every email that you sent. I went back and then found this old email that you sent to me, T, and this is a great quote. It gets, quote, 60, 30, and 1. Otherwise, it's all just rhetoric, end of quote. And you're quoting the great Rich Miller, who is a columnist, and he's referring to the only thing that matters in Springfield: 60 votes in the House, 30 votes in the Senate, and 1 governor. And so that kind of sums up, I think, your very pragmatic view toward politics. Am I correct?
That's my motto, because otherwise it is all just rhetoric. And that's why when I saw Rich write that, I thought I'd put it on it's my tagline on my email signature, because really it is, you know, we can sit and talk about, you know, everything we want to do, everything we aspire to, but you know, the reality is that you have to have the people in place who are going to do it. Otherwise, it's all just rhetoric. So it really, you know, politics is the starting point. It's not the ending point, you know. And you know, I want to take this opportunity, because, Ben, you mentioned it earlier, but I think the greatest history lesson in Petri dish right in front of us right now is the state of Wisconsin. I mean, for probably most of the people listening weren't even born with what I'm about to reference here, but my grandparents lived in Wisconsin, and I remember growing up and also I was in my 20s, so I remember this clearly, but In 1977, Wisconsin was the very first state in the country, and I think for 20 years, passed a statewide non-discrimination gay rights bill. It was called gay rights back in the 70s. Um, the city of Milwaukee was the first city in the country to integrate its housing and schools after the Civil Rights Act, and a Catholic priest by the name of Father Grappi led that push for integration. Wisconsin was one of the most progressive states in the country. There was the Farm Labor Coalition. It treated workers well. It was really, farmers were treated well. It was really a stunning example of a progressive state. And what happened in the state of Wisconsin, where we ended up yesterday, is that people stopped paying attention to elections and what mattered. And it was a bunch of different factors that led to it, but people were, arguing over, splitting the Democratic farm labor vote, and people took their eye off the ball on elections and politics. And look where we are today, where yesterday thousands and thousands of Wisconsin voters had to choose between sacrificing their health and lives or casting the franchise to vote. And that is because the Wisconsin state government apparatus, including their Supreme Court, has been taken over entirely by right-wing Republicans. And I think this should serve as the canary in the coal mine for all of us in Illinois that, I'm tired of people saying, oh, that could never happen in Illinois, or Roe v. Wade is the law of the land, or we're safe here. No, we're not. We're one election away from being like Wisconsin, being like Ohio, being like Indiana. I mean, I could go on and bore all of your listeners with all the right-wing states around us. But so I really hope that people pay attention. We have a lot of work to do in Illinois. And again, the reason why things are the way they are in Wisconsin is, I say, 60, 30, and 1. Now, I don't know the makeup of their General Assembly, but they had Scott Walker as governor, and Republicans took over their General Assembly, and look what happened, folks.
Yeah.
And this is the new Republican Party, and I want to underscore that Personal PAC is bipartisan, but the reality is the Republican Party is not the Republican Party of the 90s. It's the Republican Party of Donald Trump now. The racist, bigoted, misogynist, anti-LGBTQ party is the Republican Party right now. Anti-worker, too, of course. And
that last point is a very important point, the anti-worker aspect. If I dissect what has gone down in Wisconsin, I always go back to Scott Walker winning in 2010, and that's when Democrats, you're absolutely correct, throughout the country, Terry, took their eye off the ball. Republicans took back the House. It was a decisive midterm election, and Democrats just they were missing in action. And Scott Walker led an assault on public works unions, and when he did that, he knocked out one of the greatest allies the Democratic Party has. And what the Republicans did quite brilliantly and effectively in Wisconsin was disguise, which they cloaked their strategic partisan moves in this highfalutin language of liberty, like workers should have the liberty not to join a union. They used this highfalutin language that was supported by their cadre of lawyers and judges, who were backing up some of the decisions that Walker was implementing. They cut off at the knees public employees union. Guess what? A state, as you said it, that was once progressive, that was once liberal Democrat, if you will, suddenly becomes Donald Trump territory. It is no coincidence that move by Walker to cut off the unions in 2011 led to Donald Trump's victory in Wisconsin in 2016, and ultimately led, I believe, to that disaster that went down yesterday in Wisconsin.
It was incredible. It was really amazing. It's very few times that I'm shocked. It's like people are talking about being shocked that the anti-choicers are using the pandemic to stop all abortion care in states, but yet they're out picketing in front of doctors' offices that are providing abortion care, and there's just nothing that they'll stop at. And I don't think our side appreciates that they don't take a vacation, they don't take a break. They're constantly on the offensive and it's a fool's errand for us not to recognize that.
Now, before we get into the specifics of how the Republican Party, the right, the Donald Trumpers of the country are using the pandemic to take away abortion rights, what's your general thoughts on how Democrats should proceed in this coming election? In 2016, of course, Michelle Obama gave that statement that she probably wishes she regrets saying, when they go low, we go high. And as much as I like Michelle Obama on many different levels, I've always felt that sentiment is unrealistic in today's politics. That if
it's a fantasy,
yeah,
it's and it is, and I appreciate Michelle Obama too, but I cringed when she said it, and of course everyone was praising her, and it's hard to do it. But here, Ben, how many times have I said on your show? If you expect me, what this goes back to Citizens United, it goes back to, this stupid idea of fair maps, which all it is. And I know there's some very well-intentioned people on this subject, and probably some of them are listening to this call. But the reality is we do not want to give right-wing Republicans one iota of input into how the congressional maps of Illinois are drawn, which if you want to lose Lauren Underwood and Sean Casten and you don't want Betsy Londrigan elected, then allow Republicans to help draw the map. You can accomplish that. Or the 177 legislative districts in Illinois, the 118 House districts, 59 Senate districts. Give these right-wing Republicans, give them the pen to draw the map. They'll make sure that they get a say and that we overturn all of our pro-choice bills in Illinois. But so Ben, like I said, if you expect me to win an election and go into the battle with a leg in a cast, an arm tied behind the back, and a toothpick into a knife fight, I can tell you right now, we're not going to win.
Yeah.
We're not going to win. And so my advice is that Democrats, progressives, people who care about the future of the human race, and I don't mean to be overly dramatic about it, but we're now witnessing the greatest criminal organization and disregard for life that we've ever seen in the Trump administration. And people who don't support that are going to need to crawl over broken glass to vote. That's what it's going to come down to. We can't. This Supreme Court does not allow us to change the rules. We have to fight like hell in state after state, particularly the swing states of Michigan, Pennsylvania,
Wisconsin,
Florida, Arizona, to make sure that there's mail-in voting and that everyone, it needs to be all hands on deck.
Yeah. That
everyone in those states, and those of us who live in states like Illinois, where we already have mail-in voting and all that, but we have to make sure in those states that as many people as possible can come out and vote against Donald Trump, and then all the right wingers in their state assemblies and for Congress and everything else.
Yeah, and
that's all. That's what we have. That is our task. And listen, anyone now after Bernie Sanders dropping out that doesn't support Joe Biden, if you're not supporting Joe Biden, you are helping Donald Trump get elected. That's all there is to it. There's no debate. There's no in between. There's no gray area. It's now clear that is job number one. And then at the state level, because all of these general assemblies that are elected in 2020, they are going to draw the maps in each of the 50 states for the congressional districts and all the state assemblies, which is how all of this problem started at the beginning, because in 2010, what happened is that all of those right-wing general assemblies that were elected, particularly in Wisconsin, since we're talking about it, went back in 2011 and drew all these new congressional maps and drew all these state assembly maps that allowed them to trample on our rights for the last 20 years.
And let me just talk about how tactical yesterday's election was for Wisconsin. Just sum it up so people understand. Republicans how tactical they are. So there was a primary scheduled for yesterday in the state of Wisconsin. There's a pandemic. The Democratic governor of Wisconsin issued an executive order extending the time, postponing the election, extending the time that people can vote by absentee so that they don't threaten their life by going out to the polls on election day. He makes that extension. The Republican legislators took him to court to block it, to say he didn't have the right. Why did they go to court?
Supreme Court. The
state Supreme Court. Yeah.
So
Why?
be clear.
Why? Yeah. Let's be clear. They went to the state Supreme Court, but it made it to the feds eventually. But they started with the state.
No, 2 hours later.
2 hours later.
To the U.S. Supreme Court. Yeah.
So why did they do it? This is how tactical they are. Because in addition to being a primary day, there was an election, a special election for the state Supreme Court justice, a gentleman named Daniel Kelly, who is to the right of Reagan, way far out right, was running against Jill Joravsky, who is basically a Democrat, a liberal Democrat. And Kelly supports an initiative that would gut 200,000 or so people from the voting rolls in the state of Wisconsin. Very restrictive voting oversight. It's so interesting when it comes to voting rolls. Terry, the Republicans, they love regulations. When it comes to protecting the environment, no regulations. It's interesting the distinction they make. So in order to guarantee that Kelly win, they did everything they could to lower the turnout in that election, even if it meant exposing people to life-threatening disease. The state Supreme Court sanctioned it, and then it went to the national Supreme Court, and those 5 Republicans in the Supreme Court, Terry, fell in line like they always do, and they voted to sanction. They voted to support the Wisconsin Supreme Court, thus forcing Wisconsin voters to stand in long lines yesterday, exposing themselves to the virus. And pretty much they're trying to make sure that Daniel Kelly was victorious. The results have not been counted, but it's if you limit the number of Democrats who vote, Terry, it's awfully hard for Republicans to lose an election. So that's what that was all about.
Trump said, last week he said if we have mail-in voting, a Republican will never win another election. I mean, he said it. Yeah. That is their goal. And for people to not, I forget who it was. I'm thinking of the great author that just passed away. That when people tell you who they are, believe them. Who was that? Well, it doesn't matter. We're on the radio, but I feel like I'm having a personal conversation with you, Ben, like we usually do.
We usually do, yeah.
We're on the radio, so but they said it. That they're saying so for people not to believe them when they say this.
Was it Maya Angelou?
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm embarrassed that I couldn't recall the name.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, she said it. Yeah, she said when people tell you who they are, believe them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's what they're about. They're about seizing power in the most undemocratic, unconstitutional way imaginable. And for people to think that it's not going to stop, and they're not going to do the same thing in November. I mean, that's really what we have to be clear about. So our job is to empower as many anti-Trump voters to make sure that they are registered to vote and they can go out and vote. And we have to just we can't sit around and stomp our feet and say, oh, the rules are horrible and go home. Because if we do that, they win then. That is the prescription. And so we have to, Cory Booker was on TV last night and he said all of these long lines and everything that was going on in Milwaukee. I mean, there were supposed to be 108 polling places in Milwaukee yesterday. They had 5 open, 5 or 8, I forget which.
5, 180 to 5, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which caused these incredibly long lines. I mean, as I was watching it, I was both angry and inspired that these people would come out and wait in for hours in line to vote. I was like, this is amazing. I mean, it was disgusting and amazing at the same time that people had to do that in the United States, where we're supposed to be this democracy and have a constitution. It's but that's what we're up against. And I think that the only way we can respond, the only responsible way, is to, as Mother Jones said, don't mourn, organize. I mean, that's what we have to do. We have to organize, and we have to be prepared. We know the rules now. We know what we're up against, and we have to fight back, because the only way we can change it is to replace these people back to the 60, 30, and 1, is replace these people so that our side can make the rules, and our rules say that everyone who's eligible to vote should be able to cast a vote. And we should make it as easy as possible for people to exercise the franchise of the vote. Bang, done.
All right,
we know what
let's get a little more.
We know what we stand for.
Yeah. Let's get a little more specific and talk about some of the issues facing choice in this current political climate. So take us through some of this, what's been going on in some of the states, Terry. You and I have had private conversations about this over the phone. But let's share it with our listeners. What are the Republicans been doing? Go ahead.
Yeah, in many states, the governors have issued executive orders saying that abortion is a non-essential service in Texas and Ohio and many other states. Although getting a gun license is an essential service. I just had to throw that in there. And what happened is they issued these orders under the guise of it's a non-essential service. Which, if you're a pregnant woman, it's pretty essential because the clock is ticking. It's not like waiting to get to have something else done that is that's not essential. But the guise was because they needed the PPP, the personal protection equipment, in order because there was such a shortage. However, over half the abortions that are being done now are being done medically, which means women are taking the abortion pill. It requires no N95 mask. It requires no surgical gown. It's a pill that you get filled at a pharmacy. And so it was complete hypocrisy, which shouldn't surprise anyone. And then they were taken to court by the ACLU and some others. And the court, the Fifth Circuit, and some of the courts that are now filled with Trump's appointees upheld the right of these states to shut down all medical providers who provide abortion care.
And
which means
go ahead.
Texas, and several other states, there's actually no legal abortions that are allowed, if you can believe that.
And
so that's where we are.
That's where we are. And so this will eventually go to the Supreme Court.
It probably will, but I can't imagine the result is going to be any different. And I would be remiss not to say that Governor Pritzker specifically mentioned reproductive health care in his executive order, outlining what was essential service. So I think everyone in the state of Illinois owes Governor Pritzker a great thank you for thinking of the women of the state and making sure that abortion care can continue. It is an essential service. It's essential for women's health, women's lives, and so that's where we are in Illinois. And also telehealth has been expanded in a lot of ways, and that might be the one good thing that comes out of this. It's really letting people know how important it is to be able to speak to their doctors and others, on the phone and over Zoom and everything to get basic medical care.
Now, do you think that this decision regarding abortion rights will be enacted before the November election? Terry, do you think, like you said, that
which decision?
Well, the one that you were just alluding to, you said the Fifth Circuit had upheld the right of these governors to make these pronouncements. It's interesting. The governors have the right.
I don't know. I mean, first of all, the court has to accept the case. So they already have a case in front of them that will more or less make this moot, because they have a case in front of them that is allow them to overturn Roe v. Wade and for individual states to make abortion illegal. So that case they've already agreed to take, and that decision will come down before June 30th. I mean, I'm not I'm not an attorney. I'm not a scholar of the Supreme Court by any measure, but I could see those 5 justices just refusing to take the case from the Fifth Circuit, and then it would stand. So I don't know that and if they took it now, it probably wouldn't be heard until the next session of the court, which would I'm not an attorney. My specialty is not the Supreme Court, but my understanding would be if they took a case now, they would probably hear it in 2021 and not in 2020, just like they put off hearing the gutting of the ACA off until after the election. I mean, this is a very political court. They're not going to, I don't think they're going to wander into any territory that they see would be harmful. So I don't see it, but I could be wrong.
Well, and what you just said, you said a lot right there about the bizarre state of politics in this country. It would be exceedingly unpopular and probably against what a majority of voters in this country want if they were to limit abortion to like a handful of states. If they were to effectively disallow abortion in every state but Illinois and New York and California, it would be very unpopular. So they're going to hold off on doing that until after November. And yet there are people who will vote for Trump.
No, they have a case. No, Ben, I'm saying they have a case in front of them right now.
Yeah.
That the Louisiana case that they agreed to hear, which will likely, and very few people don't think that they won't use it to gut Roe v. Wade. So they do have that case. The case they put off was the ACA.
I got you.
And I think the distinction is the reason why they took the abortion case is because this court is so fervently anti-choice, and they see it as real red meat to the Trump base, to the right wing, where overturning the ACA, I think, would be political suicide for them. I think doing what they're doing to abortion is also very dangerous, but I think they see the ACA case as really horrible.
Yeah.
And whereas the abortion one, they think they can roll the dice on that and keep the Trump base in place with that one.
Well,
they're gambling because 77% of Americans, particularly suburban white women, are pro-choice. So I think that they're making a bad gamble. But we'll see. We'll see November 3rd.
Yeah, we will see. And I think that's the point I was going to make, that if sort of the governing philosophy, if you will, of nominating Joe Biden to be the Democratic nominee is that he was the candidate who was most electable, the candidate most likely to win the votes of swing voters and moderates who might go Republican one day and Democrat the next. If the Supreme Court in the middle of this were to weigh in on the abortion dispute by saying we're getting rid of Roe v. Wade on the eve of election, Terry, I think the point I was making was that politically, that would really hurt Donald Trump, to put it mildly, with those so-called swing voters. And so that's...
I agree. Yeah. I agree. Except the problem is I believe what they're going to do is they're going to word the decision in such a way where they're going to say that, we're not overturning Roe v. Wade. We're just going to leave it up to this. In fact, I can already see how this is going to be written. We're not explicitly overturning Roe v. Wade. We're just leaving it up to the states to decide because it's such a controversial issue, and we think that states should be able to set their own laws. And then, of course, it really is going to depend on how the media lets that play, because returning it to the states is exactly what it was prior to Roe.
Yeah. And also, and I have to put this out there, the challenge will be for Joe Biden as the nominee, as the Democratic candidate, to put that out there so that people understand it. That's why you really do need a candidate who's forceful and articulate and can really specify exactly what's at stake. That's the part that concerns me about Joe Biden. But it's...
Ben, you and I have had this conversation, except, as the generals often say, you don't go to war with what you with what you would like to go to war with. You go to war with what you have. We have Joe Biden. So I really think that continuing to have the conversation about what he is or isn't at this point is not very productive. That's my feeling.
Well, that conversation will be had whether you and I have it or not. So it's real.
Oh, I know, but it's really not the point. The point is, and this is what the Republicans love. They're going to love if the Bernie Sanders people stomp their feet and say there's no way we're voting for Biden. And that's why I say if that's your position, then you're helping Donald Trump get elected, and then you really have to lift yourself in the mirror and figure out what kind of person you are that would help this criminal enterprise that's killing millions of people, helping this person get elected. I mean, I hate to be I am that blunt about it. If you can look yourself in the mirror and you can say, okay, I'm going to help Donald Trump get reelected, then please just get out of my way. Don't be in my space.
All right, and so I will say this: you're making a declaration to Bernie Sanders supporters, which I understand. I'm going to make a declaration to Joe Biden. Step up, step it up. Be clear. Make it clear to the American voters exactly what you stand for on issues like choice.
Yeah, he will. He will.
Right.
He will.
Okay.
I mean, I know.
Come on, Joe. Don't get wishy-washy on me, Joe.
Listen, Joe, listen, Ben, let me just put it this way. You and I are on the same page about this, but it's not our job to do that. But there are going to be people around him that are going to be very smart and are going to make sure that the right messages get out there. I am confident there are people out there as committed to defeating Trump as we are. So,
I hope you're right at that one. Now, I just want to say one thing. How
and we're going to have surrogates for him too, and they're going to have a vice presidential candidate. So it's again, this is it's on the rest of us to do our part too. I mean, I think that and to put all of our eggs in Joe Biden's basket is not really what we should be doing. We should be out there and telling the truth and marshaling the troops for his election, because he's going to appoint people to the Supreme Court and to the federal bench and to a lot of these federal agencies that Trump has gutted, and is going to put the country back in not perfect shape. I'm not saying that, but at least get us back on the track so we can start talking about universal health care and protecting reproductive rights instead of shoving the entire planet into the dustbin, which is what we're really talking about here.
All right. Now, before we close down, I want to point out from a recent election how important the abortion rights issue is in politics. We had an election, a Democratic primary for Cook County State's attorney. Kim Foxx was running. All of a sudden, I can't remember Bill Conway, that's his name. I momentarily forgot his name. Kid Conway, as we like to call him on the show, Daddy's boy. And anyway, I had a lot of fun with that one. As everybody knows, I supported Kim Foxx, made it clear. I thought it was trumped up case.
So did Personal Pack. We did.
Well, that's the point I was making. I must have received 5 or 6 flyers or mailers, whatever you call them, from Personal Pack, supporting Kim Foxx or slamming Bill Conway on this issue, on this particular issue. And that's why I'm saying that the choice issue is a very vibrant one for Democrats, because I think it played a role in Kim Foxx defeating Conway in the
we
primary.
did. Yeah, the independent committee did. You got 1 or 2 of those 400,000 pieces of mail we did, and it was all about explaining to people that Conway's father, the daddy Conway, was giving millions and millions of dollars to right-wing anti-abortion organizations, and we weren't sure where he was on the issue. And several people told me that they were surprised at the amount of votes that the other candidates, other than Conway, received, and they said that they felt that made a difference, and it was the Personal Pack mail that got people. And my approach was this: that we never mentioned Kim in any of our mailings because my feeling was just as a strategy that if people weren't voting for her, they weren't voting for her. And at that point, 2 weeks out from the election, if you weren't voting for Kim Foxx, you were voting for someone else. And we just wanted to make sure that that someone else was someone other than Conway. So we pushed people away from him to other people to make sure he didn't win, and it worked. And so I'm happy about that. But I want to make sure that we close with the April 13th, Monday, April 13th, Personal PAC is having its first public teletown hall at 6 p.m. And anyone that wants to be in on it, we have State Senator Heather Staines. We have Andy Friedman, who's a consultant to many national pro-choice organizations, and Dr. Allison Cowett, who is a provider of abortion care at Family Planning Associates. All three of them are going to be on this call. It is the 13th of April at 6 p.m., and you can go to the Personal PAC website, personalpac.org, and sign up there, and we'll give you the call-in number. And it's going to be a very good hour for people to learn more about the issue of reproductive rights in Illinois and what they can do. So everyone, please, if you're listening, is this going to air before Monday,
it's literally airing right now, and then we'll.
It is. It's live. Okay.
And I wasn't kidding when I told you were live. And then it's going to be dropped probably in a half an hour. So yeah. And I was going to get around to that, but you beat me to the punch. So let's close with you giving that address again. So if people want to sign up, they can. Terry, just give that address.
Personalpac.org is our website, and on the homepage is the sign up for the teletown hall on this Monday, the 13th at 6 p.m. Yeah, and it should be really good. It's the first time we're doing this, so be patient. We're going to take questions, and again, the speaker, State Senator Heather Staines. Speaking of legalization or adult use of cannabis, Heather Staines was the sponsor in the Senate, although we're not going to be talking about that on this bill. So doesn't mean you can't use it to be on the call, but you should. I shouldn't have said that.
No, it's legal.
It's legal. That's
it's
true.
Legal. You could have said it.
The generation I grew up, it wasn't. So I'm adjusting. It's like after the United Farm Workers boycott, it took me years to eat lettuce and grapes again because it just felt like a sin, after the 10 years of boycotting it for the United Farm Workers in the Central Valley of California. So,
well, I know you always abide by the law, so I
do.
You probably
I am law-abiding, if nothing else.
Yeah, you probably went through the 80s, the 90s, and the O's without haven't even looked. If somebody lit a joint, you ran out the door. So it's legal.
I did then. And I rarely drink either. I live a very boring life, actually. So.
One thing I did learn from you the other day, I was shocked. You do spinning classes. I did not know that.
I teach spin classes. I do them and I teach them, and really, my main addiction is caffeine. I have to admit, as people who've seen your show on Facebook see me drinking the Diet Pepsi, even though you frown at people bringing drinks into your show or anywhere else, and I'm like, really,
The good old days. We'll be back in the studio before you know it.
Good.
And you bring whatever soda you want, buddy.
Yeah, Terry Cosgrove. Thank you so much, T.
Okay.
You take care. Stay healthy.
Okay, thank you very much. You too.
All right.
And stay at it. Take care.
All right, that's Terry Cosgrove, president of Personal PAC, and I'm.
Who knew? Terry Cosgrove, a spinner.
I was. He dropped that bombshell on me the other day. Well, TC spinning, yeah, and he says he's tough on those spin classes. So anyway, that's our show for today. We're going to Dennis is going to do his dentist thing and upload it. It'll be dropped in about half an hour. And then we got more interviews, right, D? Let's see who we have.
We got Atiba Buchanan coming on. We're going to talk to him, and we're going to drop that at about 9 o'clock tonight. We're going to talk all things last night's primary election. Vote blue no matter who. That question and more with Atiba Buchanan.
Yeah, Atiba Buchanan, who was a Bernie Sanders supporter, by the way. So get his thoughts on Bernie dropping out of the race, what Joe Biden should do. Oh, my God. And we'll be talking to Trump. Ordinarily, it's Wednesday. We'd be having a Monroe Anderson, but Monroe is he's got something else going on. Atiba Buchanan will be joining us, so we're looking forward to that.
Wait, hold on. Yep, I see the sign language guy. He's going to town.
All right.
J.B. Pritzker is giving his COVID-19 press conference. Go check that out, everybody.
All right. Great job, Terry Cosgrove. And, of course, I want to thank the man, the myth, the legend, the pride of joy at Alton, Illinois, the wizard behind the board. You know what they call him back home in Alton? They call him White Lightning. Give yourself a raise, D. Take it out of petty cash. See you tomorrow, everybody.
Hey, and remember, you can download these shows. Oh, the Brown Line. You can download these shows at both Chicago Sun-Times and Chicago Reader websites and wherever else you download your favorite podcasts, all right? Subscribe. Go check these shows out. If you download this show, hey, check out the live stream sometime. It's pretty cool. It's live. You hear the Brown Line. And you can join the live stream chat. Hang out with Brianna, Jim, Doogie, Michael, Pat Rod, Kyle, Dragon Slayer 19, and all your other friends. Join the live stream chat room. Weigh in. We may read your comment on the air. We'll see you all tomorrow.
Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
Correct.